Just let out all the cheer one goodness before we start. Oh, I enjoy watching you in the background. No one else can see what you're doing. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Good evening. Welcome to Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. I am MikeZ.
I'm Jigs and Hacks. No, wait, I'm Chris.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. That's right. This is the Whatnot Podcast. And today's episode, which is episode 10, is going to be jigs and hacks. And really, it's kind of the things that you need to know if you're going to make a shop jig or a shop hack. Maybe there are things that we do that we just didn't think are hacks, but at the same time, maybe you'll find it useful, or maybe do your own rendition of it. Or if you've got a shop hack, throw it in the comments below. By all means, show us what you're dealing with.
Or if maybe you're just really good at dancing jigs, we'll take that too.
Dancing jigs.
Mm-hmm.
Get all bluegrass on me. So let's see. I'm going to start. I'll start with Chris, because Chris has got some videos on his. If you hadn't seen Chris's videos yet, by the way, he is Chris Cross Crafts.
Did I send you videos?
Instagram. Yeah, you've got oh no, you didn't send me a video, but you've got YouTube videos on your jigs that you made.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you've got some videos doing pretty well too, by the way. If you hadn't seen it, now's a good time to check it out. But it's Chris Cross Crafts like this. He's at Instagram and at YouTube. There goes the trucks, right on time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so was this one?
Yeah. Back before I bought real clamps, I was working on a budget, and I still am. But anyway, that's believe it or not, those are clamps made out of red oak.
Nice.
You put a peg in the hole that would be on the left, and then align your part, and those other holes are spaced out so that you can easily put another peg in, and then I use a cam system to glue my boards up.
I see that that's not sponsored by Unita, by the way, but it's very nice. I do remember actually when you first built this, because you were kind of on a budget big time. So then let's say the budget had increased and you decided to start going with the micro jig.
I started using the micro jig stuff, and kind of fell in love with that. So I decided to make my whole jig for my table sled, cross that sled, featuring that. So the whole thing is integrated around the micro jig system. And I'll tell you, that has probably been the best addition to my shop as far as jigs go, because I use it for so much stuff.
Sweet. Yeah, you've got quite a few fixtures and jigs that go along with it.
Yeah, there's a few. Every time I need something else, I think, well, let's make another jig for the table, and it works.
And boom. I like where you put your phone holder.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one that was the one that I didn't think about until I needed it was the phone piece. The clip's right on there, and I can get great overhead shots.
It's very cool. Let's see here. What else you got? You got this guy. Oh, I see it. I know where that goes. Okay.
Yeah, a while back I was, because I have open studs in my shop, I made all my shelf brackets out of plywood and 2x4s. Well, I got tired of trying to figure out all the layouts, so I made a jig that would allow me to make those things in bulk. And that jig's essentially, there's another picture with it sort of just separate from it that you can kind of get a better idea what the jig looks like. But it just allows me to make those brackets in quick production type.
Nope, I like that. And then, of course, it's very sturdy that way. Now, what's
Mhm.
the notch for?
That was one I tore down, and that notch, I had to cut that after the fact because of another shelf that I was adding underneath it. It used to hold a lot of my thin stock material, and so I had to notch that out so that it would sit snug.
Gotcha. Now I see it. Okay. And then see, we got this one. Oh, no, we got plenty more from you. Okay, good. So this is the new dust collection system. Is this a jig to hold the pipe up in place?
It is, and if you're not sure where that jig is, it's the far left. It's holding up that big, funky 8-inch pipe with all the bends to it. And of course, I integrated the match fit system from MikeZ in that as well. So it's got a slot that runs into the 1x4, and then the plywood bracket mounts to that, and there's a slot that goes all the way through, so that can easily affix 2 clamps. And the using the X pad setup, the X pad has a little notch in it, and the cool thing about that is when you align that notch just right, it actually will give you an additional push when you go to tighten it up, which is really cool because you can get it kind of snug with the first clamp, and then that X pad pushes it even more tighter, or even tighter. Yeah, that's right. So that you get a good secure setup.
Okay. Yeah, I remember seeing that in the Instagram video where you got it right up there and then all of a sudden you clamped it down and it snugged it straight up in the air. It was nice.
Yeah, it's a little bit redneck, but when you're working by yourself and you're trying to hoist big pieces of pipe, it's a lot easier to do them as an assembly than individually, and so that just gave
Absolutely.
me an extra helping hand.
Absolutely. Nope, I agree because sometimes when you have to do things by yourself, you gotta get creative. I know for me and all the furniture, the hand trucks. If it wasn't for the hand trucks and the things you can do with hand trucks, life would be tougher.
For sure.
And let's drop some comments here. We've got Mr. Kyle Eli saying, "What's up, guys?"
Mr. Kyle.
From the learnyourcnc.com. Also, Mr. Gerald Vance, Appalachian Heritage Woodshop. Thank you for joining us.
Good stuff.
All kinds of stuff. I'm just looking for something. My apologies. When working by yourself, you should always let gravity be your friend. Yes, Gerald. And try not to be underneath it when gravity is not your friend.
Yeah, that's usually my problem is gravity's my enemy and
Yeah.
fights me every step of the way.
I'm going to have to do a shout out to electricians or anyone who has installed one of those light fixtures that you have a little pull string in a closet. Because I was putting 2 of those up before the podcast and there was not curse words, but there was definitely mean things said to the screws trying to get them in there. Yeah. And I'm glad they're both Phillips and straight head because the Phillips eventually stripped out. But yeah, to people who have to hang stuff into tight corners and make sure it doesn't burn the house down, my hat, I tip it by far. So, anyways.
For sure.
All right, so I'm going to start with a shop hack here. As you've seen before, one of my favorite things to do is to line the inside of a metal can lid for finishing with holes. I put holes on it. And the difference, though, and I've seen some people do this, the difference that I do is I only do about 4 holes, and I do them on the ears. So the ears are where the handle goes for like a gallon can. And the reason I do that is because I need it to drain back in, but when I go to pour it out, I don't want those small holes to release the fluid first, because if you try to pour, basically, it starts coming out of that smaller hole first, and then it kind of shoots a little bit faster than where you want it to go, so it causes an issue. But just simple scratch all. It's probably one of my favorite finishing tools. You can use it for a lot of different things. But a rubber mallet, and just pop it, just pop the holes. And what you do is you don't have to wipe it out every time now. When you go to put the lid on, any residual finish that's left in that channel can then fall back into the can. So there's my hack for finishing. Also, always hang your brushes on a magnetic strip. And the reason for that is that then your bristles will be free They'll be able to dry in a natural, relaxed state rather than being laid down on something or they start to split apart. As you can tell, all these are still in good shape, and I've reused these several times. So if you can, and I use magnetic strips like too many places in the shop. I really do. Everything's up on a magnetic strip to get it off the bench. I mount my chargers, and then I put all of them into a power strip that I can turn on and off so I don't leave them on all the time. I don't like leaving these on because they will draw power. Doesn't matter what the manufacturer says, they still have something in them running at all times. So if you want to be energy efficient or you want to be conscious about where you're spending your overhead, turning these off when you're not using them is great. Let's see.
At least take the batteries out.
Yeah, at least take the batteries out when they're done. That trickle charge thing, I mean, yes, it does happen. Yes, they're lithium ion, but still, it's better just to not have that circuit going.
For sure.
Now, I will say, my Craftsman stuff here is all for the yard stuff, but we got over the weekend it's like one of those handy not shop vac. It's an upright kind of a vacuum, battery powered, Dyson, Shark, all of them have something like that, and they're way expensive. So I saw this one, and as a joke, everyone in the family now knows that if there's a Craftsman product, I'll probably be picking that one first. And yes, I know it drives you crazy in a way, but everyone really likes it. And the big difference on this one versus the other ones, it has LED lights in the very front. I should go find a picture of it. But so when you're trying to sweep up, like we have that vinyl flooring, so when you're trying to vacuum over it, you can actually see whether or not you picked up the dirt. And we got the Dyson, which was $400 something. It had no light on the front, so we couldn't see anything, and it makes a much louder sound. It was a lot louder, and it picked up just as much dirt. So we're like, "Oh, that one's going back." So that's my not sponsored this evening is Craftsman, the upright vacuum, $200 at Lowe's. Well worth it. You're welcome. What else we got? Oh yeah, I put my Forstner bits in the wood backwards. So this is that same little white shelf that's here, and you can see there's a piece of molding going across the top. And for me, it's a lot easier just to go ahead and drill out the shank and then slide it in there. And then I have the measurement. You can't really see it because it's in pencil, but I've got the measurement on top. And no, they're not in order because I only have 4. I don't know where the 4th one is, so I got 3 in there. Yeah, you're welcome. This has been my
shop hack. Always put your tools back when you're done with them.
Actually, that would be a good shop hack, is organizing where your tools go in the first place. So this monstrosity here has now become my best friend because when I'm finishing, I have to go in and out of the house a lot to get something, whatever. And the shop, unfortunately, is like a much longer walk. You have to go all the way around the fireplace. So we don't need this rack anymore. And I asked my wife, I said, "Hey, wait, do you mind if I use that downstairs?" So now I can roll what I need from the garage to that door. I'm in and out real quick. I don't have the door open for as long. I'm still working on where to put the drills. I think I'm going to make one of those drill racks that I have in the garage into this, but I was just testing it out to see if it worked, and I really like it all together. So now I can get everything I'm going to need for this particular project, this furniture, whatever, put it all onto this rack, and I'm good to go. I don't have to go looking for it anymore. So it saved me a lot of time.
And you could zip tie some PVC pipe to the bottom of that, and those drills would hang right there. Perfect.
There you go. See, that's a good idea. I think I'm going to do that. I'm pretty sure I have some PVC laying around I could use.
I know I do.
No, I like that being open-ended because then I can just drop it in and go.
Mm-hmm.
And zip ties you. There. Such a great tool.
It's the more higher echelon redneck fix versus duct tape.
Yes. No kidding. All right. So, that's one of I knew I forgot something. Dang it. I wonder if I could do that. So you want to talk about something while I send myself these photos that I forgot to do earlier?
I'm sure, I guess. I'll figure something out. So we just wanted to share a few of those hacks and jigs that we use. I mean, obviously, we've got a whole lot more than that. But what we were really hoping is this would open up some conversation and, for you guys to share with us some of your favorite hacks that you've found that are beneficial in your shop. Because, that's what this is all about. It's about community and learning from each other. And, I mean, gosh, I've got back before I had a lot of shop tools. I've got jigs that I made with a router or for a router for making different pieces and just simply using a flush trim bit or a pattern bit to follow those pieces. And you know, obviously I don't use those as much anymore because I've got CNC, I've got a drill press, so there's a lot of things that I don't use as often. But you know, what shop hacks or jigs are you using in your shop that you found crazy beneficial? Because I'm always looking to learn something new, and heck, if it works for you, it might work for me.
Sorry, I forgot I was muted. Yes, absolutely. Good call. And the reason I forgot to do this is because I was in the doctor's office when my dad sent me these. Because little backstory on mine, real quick, is that a lot of the jigs that we made were for building speakers. Like we would design these one off speakers. And then we realized that whenever we try to make them again, whether it be a month or 2 years later, they were all custom made. So if someone decided to order one, we were like, oh crap, how do we do that? So jigs became like a fixture for everything. And I have no idea if any of these have curse words. Now that I think about it, I'm sorry. Didn't even think about that. Because, sometimes we have little jokes in there, but hold on a second here. Kyle, would you say if you have a small shop, put everything on wheels to move around? Yes. Without a doubt. I have a small shop, so that is a key.
Yeah, funny, when I designed the extension, the workbench I'm using now, which is obviously an extension of my outfeed, I had intended if I needed to bring a car in or a trailer load of lumber to get it out of the weather, that I could move all this around. Well, now that I've got dust collection, pretty much not going to go anywhere. So spend all that time making it mobile for nothing, but who knows? I may rearrange the shop one day.
Or you can make carts and make them mobile. I mean, you can do stuff with the mobility aspect of it. And in a way, you've actually fixed the tools in a spot and then made the dust collection fittings to become mobile, which I don't know. Oh, I didn't do that either. But if you have a chance, Andrew Klein on YouTube made a video where he took like a mag switch, built a jig for 4-inch dust collection to go down to like 2.5 is what it looked like to me. Does that what it look like to you? Like a bendy hose was 2.5, but you can put it to whatever you want to, a drill press, scroll saw, anything that pretty much had metal to it. And you could really kind of configure where you needed the dust to be collected from for tools that didn't have dust collection. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and if you haven't checked out Andy's channel, I mean, he does a ton of stuff with the mag jig. And if you don't know what mag jig is, well, it's a magnet that's used in a lot of jigs. So the name kind of implies what it is. But it's extremely powerful magnets. And they've got feather boards and fences and tall fences and calibration tools. I mean, it's all crazy kind of stuff they've made using these jigs. And there's a switch that you simply turn it like a quarter turn, and it engages the magnet to the metal. You turn it back and it loosens the magnet, so it's no longer magnetized. It's just phenomenal stuff, and they're just crazy strong.
Crazy strong. I mean, I think they're like 90 pounds, 45 and 90 pounds is the two weights. And I think they have a higher one, but still it's hard to break off the metal. Like you have to hit it with a hammer in order to get it to slide any, but then you just quarter turn, comes right off like it was never even there. Kyle says, I organize all my finishes to a single can depth shelf. And now I know what I have and no longer buy multiples of everything. Well, where's the fun in that, Kyle?
What do you do when you run out? If it's a project, you always buy two. So if you run out, you got an extra. There's nothing worse than getting halfway through a panel and you got to make a trip to the hardware store to get another can of paint or finish or whatever.
But at the same time, now, okay, so I do like that in general, but like aerosol cans, what do you do if you have some, like, if you're doing a lot of CNC work and you're doing a lot of painting or something? I mean, don't you want to buy more black or more red so you don't run out? How do you do multiples then?
You just buy extra.
Oh, you know what you do? You just shove them all onto a shelf. Like that. See, look, 2 cans deep. I'm good. I got my stain up there on the left, aerosol cans at the top.
I think what Kyle was saying was he's more organized than you.
Oh, absolutely. I have extras, but I don't have extras of extras. So you have a list.
They're single row, but there might be two beside each other.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, at least he knows he's got them. I always liked it whenever I had a note that used to be in the very back of something. If I was like, this is your last one, or if you take it off the shelf and there's none behind it, like there's no more overstock. You didn't stock any anywhere. You didn't hide it somewhere. Like that's it. You're all out. Leave myself little notes. All right. So speakers. Oh, I didn't know when to bring this up, but jigs are everything in speakers. So little roll down memory lane. Welcome to the House Wrecker. The House Wrecker is a horn box. This was designed by Steve Deckard, and my dad got commissioned. Basically, someone said, hey, can you build this from blueprints? This isn't my dad. This is some other guy, but this is what it looks like in person. And you can put a glass top on it. You can do, whatever you want to, but basically it's open-ended on one side, and that side faces the carpet, so the air can escape across the carpet. Very loud, worked really well. That getting started, I was also in a band, so therefore what we did was we built a lot of cabinets. The reason this is all helpful to know is because when it comes to jigs and you're building something and you want to repeat that cut, routers especially, if you're going to get into speakers, make a jig. So, for instance, the Death Box. This particular application always had the same kind of parts, but you could change it 10 inch, 12 inch, 8 inch, and the inside box there in the middle slides. So depending on your particular driver, you could actually tune the port to fit your driver. So when we did this one, we then built a 12-inch version, more jigs. But then if people see what we started doing, we were building them for ourselves just to test them, see how they sounded. This is back when wood was relatively cheap, like $20 a sheet for MDF. The thing is that then people heard them and they'd want to buy them. So it's like, well, okay, we made it. Here you go. And then people wanted more of them and they wanted things. So like on this one in particular, that port, you had to have a jig for that port. That port wasn't something that it had to be that size, by the way. There was mathematics to this. The genius behind all of these, Steve Deckard, he had these things tuned before he ever let them leave his plans. But inside of all of this, you have to make repeat cuts. So there's no better way to do it than with jigs. Then comes the biggest subwoofer I've ever built that was the most compact, and that is called the Other House Wrecker. This one has 415s. It's made for 415s. It's double ported isobaric, which means basically there's two drivers that have the same air and they don't get any extra. So they're like sealed boxes on top of ports, top and bottom. So there's me. There's a custom one behind me of this. And then there's a half one right there. And the only reason I picked these pictures is because I actually can show that, hey, I did build something at one time. It's been a while, but I did. Oh, and then I found the shop. This is so, hey, there's that wide belt sander I told you about many moons ago. My shop that I did all the finishing was right next door, and it was a mess, so we never took pictures of it. And then here's a picture of my dad. He's on the right. Steve Deckard's on the left. And this is when they really first got together, because this is what my dad does now, is that he makes speakers for jigs and all that. This is going someplace, I promise. I've thought about this. How am I going to bring this up? Because it really does make sense. This is the HDT. This was the first complicated speaker build that required jigs. Because whenever you make many of them, you want them all to be the same. They have to be the same. The problem with these is the insides. You've got ports, you've got drilled out rough holes, you've got passives on the sides. There's so much going on inside of here that you have to make them all exact. So on the very top of this, you see that there's the grill coming down where there's a little notch on the very top. This one was really funny because my dad always lost this jig. And so I nicknamed it the Here I Am jig, because it's only a semicircle. That's it. And it was just a template for a router. So you throw it down, you put a pin nail in it, you can route out that MDF and get that perfect every time. Well, he kept losing it because it has that lip on it. So one day I just wrote, Here I Am. That's probably because he just took this the other day too, or today, as a matter of fact. I'm guessing that is easily 15 years old. Here I am. So Sharpie. Good stuff. Well, let's see what Kyle says real quick. I also organize all of my hardware into Home Depot organizing trays. Not sponsored. And finding hardware that I knew I always seemed to kill a lot of time. That is true. Now I know right where it is. Yes. I didn't show mine, but yeah, I have one too. I have a travel container. I got that from Andy Berkey. Like he has doubles of everything, and so if he has to go somewhere, he's got bits and whatever he knows that he's going to need. He's got a case just for that stuff. So I have a installer's kit basically, and then of course everything else in organizing bins that are not plastic bags. I promise. I've started organizing that.
I'm surprised your dad didn't send you the picture of the jig that he just had made.
This one.
Yeah, I did that one a while back though.
Yep. So this one goes with that grill. And of course, that grill is also a jig in order to be able to make the rabbits for the speakers concise every time. Yeah, there's jigs upon jigs. I asked him, I said, do you have all the jigs hanging up? No, they used to be all in a closet, which was really fun trying to figure it out. So there's one, for instance, just the binding posts for the back of the speaker. He made a jig where we drilled them in there and then basically uses an old drill bit, slides it in, and it lines up every time so you can drill the holes perfect. I'm trying to think that one. Yeah, that one's that's 10 years old easily. Then there's this thing, the ERR hole jig. This one was depending because it had so many variations and changes that we just kept drilling holes in the same one, in the same board. And then we just kept marking them what they were. But once you make it, you can make hundreds of them after that. Man, I don't know how old that thing is. That's some scratchy handwriting of mine, though. Let me tell you. It kind of makes me laugh.
That's the beauty of jigs, though.
That
If you
is.
make them and they work, then you hang on to them.
And that's why you always mark it so you know where they're at, too. It never dawned on us to mark on their HDT grill jig. No, it was here I am. That's what it is.
Well, it's more memorable.
Yeah, it is.
That's like the sled that I made for my CNC for doing all your dad's parts. I named it the Bob sled.
That's a very Chris thing to do.
Well, his name's Bob, and it's a sled that fits on my CNC. It just kind of it worked.
He's such a Bob too. So, I've worked with my dad for years, so he's Bob to me. Chris is now on the adventure of working with my dad as far as because he has CNC, so now he can have certain things done that don't require jigs anymore. Certain things, which is funny. So let's see here. Let's go down a quick list. Okay. The very first YouTube video I ever did was 2010, maybe 2011, and it was putting together this. These are called diffusers. Instead of like sound dampening materials that gather sound and trap it, these actually collect certain waves across the spectrum from 0 to 20,000, and they kind of slow the wave down before it comes back out. So it's reflection. It slows the reflection down, but it doesn't completely remove the sound from the room. It just slows it down. So we had to build kits. This is something I did, and those little standoffs in the middle right there, those were the biggest pain in the butt. And I figured out one day I just made a 5-inch jig on the table saw, clamped it to the fence, and I would take these 8-foot long sticks of MDF or plywood, whatever they were at the time, and I would bump them against this particular 5-inch offset, and then I could cut them on the blade and not get them pinched in between the blade and the fence. Because that was the problem we were having. You cut small pieces like that, that's kind of dangerous. And then you could stack up 5 or 6 little, because they're 3/4 of an inch wide. So you could stack up a whole bunch of them, just slice and keep going. So all of those parts had to be shown to the customer if they wanted to purchase a kit form. We'd ship it to them, and they would put it together themselves. So that's how I made my first YouTube video. It's thrilling, by the way. But there's a point to this one too, because these became... And I didn't do that, did I? I didn't do that. My apologies. So they became part of the... What year was this? 2000... let's go 2013 to 15, somewhere in there. HBO Studios in New York City has a whole bunch of those in an array in their studio for sound diffusion. So, little pat on the back there for Bob. But I found this guy because I remember this guy. He decided to make a large, huge wall of just one diffuser.
Wow.
And I always thought that was the coolest thing in the world. He took the same idea and just made it into a big piece. So, thought that was cool. Had to show that off.
Yeah. I think most of us were probably more intrigued by the items before you even got to the diffuser.
Oh, yeah, it's speakers. Yeah, I don't know. They're things.
Speakers, instruments, all that woodwork.
Who cares? That one I really like. That one doesn't have a straight angle on it, or well, a 90-degree angle. They're all different types of angles. That one is the biggest pain in the butt in the world to make, without a doubt. These one, that's that. Okay, so that one jig that I had that had the ERRX binding posts, it goes for that particular speaker. That's drywall. Because sometimes when you're mocking up a speaker and you don't know if it's going to work, why waste wood when you can just use drywall? And that's the back of it. It's called an open baffle. There is no cabinet for the speaker. It's completely open to the room. That one just, I always liked that black finish that we did on that because I just thought it always looked so good. Kind of highlighted the speaker to it. But that's
Kind of
really
sleek. Kind of sleek with that wood too.
What's that?
The wood. What is that? Cherry.
Yeah.
Kind of that black is real sleek with that cherry.
Yeah, it does. They always did look good together. What was that? Block model McCory, I think, on that one. So, anyways, and then of course veneering. We can go down that road. There's a whole, good Lord, there's a lot we learned about veneering speakers. But yeah, that's all the jig stuff I got. I mean, really, if you're trying to find yourself something where you can make repeat cuts, I found that speakers were always the best because speakers, they're always going to have the same type of diameter. Always going to have the same type of rabbet if you want it to be recessed in. I did forget one thing in particular, talking about all that. These bad boys. So these are called the trapeziums. This is my brainchild of, I got sick and tired of buying those little plastic box speakers that every computer came with around 2010. They're just the little cheap powered up ones. So I built these. These have a bottom shooting port, as well as the sides of the speakers themselves. You see those screws? You can tighten or loosen the sides depending on how much bass you want. And they worked phenomenally. I was very excited, very happy with it. Still got my original pair sitting here. They're my inspiration. If I ever want to remind myself that I have good ideas that if I put action to, they'll actually come true. They're that right there, kids. You could do that too. Yep. And the funny thing is they were all put together with tape. There was no clamps because that one has absolutely no right angles in it either. So, and the reason being, right angles, sound doesn't like right angles. It likes many, many angles.
You should have showed the inside view of that one that's insane. That the outside is essentially a rectangle, but the inside is no angle is 90 degrees.
Which one is that?
You know what I'm talking about?
Not off the top of my head, because there's a few.
It's got a really narrow gap at the top, but it's not a straight gap. It kind of tapers down, and then it goes down at a funky angle, and then it curls back, and then it's got another funky angle that goes another way. It's insane.
That one actually is a true horn.
I've got a picture of it on my phone. If you give me a second, I'll find it.
It is okay. So basically, it is a horn. Whenever you're building a speaker, you want to start with the smallest possible gap that it's allowable for airspace to travel without making noise. But as long as you keep the horn flaring and getting wider and bigger, your actual volume will increase for that particular speaker. Is it the DNA?
I don't know, but it's...
Yeah, it's the DNA. Let's see if I can download this one. So it's essentially it's a rectangle, but on the inside it's just insane.
There you go. Check that out.
Thank you, sir. This
And while
is
you're
how we
working
do
that,
live. Oh,
I'll show you a jig I made just tonight that I didn't think was really a jig, but I could see after thinking about it would be quite handy for people who are trying to make things out of a slab or out of a piece of wood that you're not sure how it's going to look and where it's going to
yeah.
fall. You know, just
Oh, yeah. I'll show this while you're doing that. So, let me mute him just in case. So this is a true folded horn. The driver it fires into the horn on the top, and then it flares out as you go along. Now, where it looks like there's an open gap, that's where the back goes, and so therefore it does look a little funny. But when you put it all together, it looks really nice. Now I just got to find where that is at. Mm-hmm. Of course, now's a good time not to find it, right? There it is. Sorry, Chris. 1 second there, bud. All right, so that's the back and everything onto it, and actually the front is where it has the gap. So let's see what Chris has got.
so. One of the things I'm going to make a topographical map. Well, the piece of wood that I was given, when I glued it up, it's got knots and some cracks. So what I did was I used the CNC and went ahead and cut out the state, but I'm going to use this like a window. So I'll be able to place it at different spots around that material and be able to see inside here where there might be a crack or where there might be a knot, just to see how that's going to play out. And so once I'm able to fix that, then I'll be able to know, okay, I can use the reference here to decide exactly where I need to put my piece of wood so I can cut it out.
That's pretty cool.
It doesn't look much like the stake, but it's a border piece. But and I got
Yeah.
a fake map I can just kind of paint and throw on the wall somewhere if I want to. Anyway, there you go.
You're just gonna have a big star that says Cheerwine on it.
I could. Trying not to slam that.
Let's see, what other shop hacks do you have? Now that I'm thinking about it, like things are coming to my brain. Pin nails. I would have to say pin nails are probably the most underrated holding clamp that you can have. That if you cut through them or if you routed through them, it wouldn't be a big deal. So a pin nailer is a great tool to have, and then using that to actually hold jigs down while you route them. Because if you don't have a CNC, routing is the way to go.
Yeah.
For repeat
Back when
cut.
I was making oil displays, this was my router jig that I made.
There you go.
So you literally just run this in the middle and then use the template bit to make all these holes. And then it left a hole in the middle, but that's okay because there was another piece that went on top of that covered it. So still have it.
So organization wise, now I will say one thing. I don't know if you can see it very well, but at the very top of this picture is where the spray guns are sitting. If you're going to be using spray guns, you can put them into those racks that they make, the little circle, and it stands on your bench. The problem is though, is any residual finish left in there, if you just do a quick rinse out and spray it through the gun, anything in the cup's gravity's gonna take it down and actually clog into the nozzle area. The needle sits in the air gap. And the problem then is that you have to clean it. So if you lean them back, if you lay them back, usually what I used to do is I used to hang the regulator on an extension cord, and then that way they would hang directly upside down, and any residual finish would just go to the very top of the cap. And when you unscrew it, it's basically all sitting right there. And it always kept the nozzle areas clean. So, and same thing with aerosol cans. If you didn't know, when you're using an aerosol can, go ahead and flip it upside down and spray it till all of the finish clears out of the tube, and it's just kind of air coming out. Because then when you go to store it on the shelf for a while, especially if it's a flat, a matte, a pigmented paint like blacks and whites, anything where all of the heavier body solids will sit down at the bottom where the straw is dragging it up. If you don't clear that out, then when you go to roll the ball around and get to shake and rattle and, make it a rattle can, when you get to agitate that, anything in the tube's not going to get agitated. So then you go to spray it, it's just going to clog the spray top, the nozzle on top. So there's kind of a shop pad. Flip it upside down when you're done spraying with it, clear it out, and no, it won't. I mean, it wastes very little, and they over pressurize them with propane. So therefore, there's plenty of propellant in there, which is a lot better than having a clogged tube, which will lead to a clogged nozzle. And then you'll have to clean that out or even possibly throw out the can because it won't spray whatsoever.
Now, can you store them upside down, those aerosol cans?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can. The downside of that is then all of your propane sitting basically where the straw is. So when you go to agitate it, the ball will fall down towards the straw at the very top, I guess, at that point where it doesn't move a lot. So therefore the ball could get fixed right there. That's the only downside to it. If it doesn't have a ball, don't worry about it.
It was just a random question. Never thought about it.
Oh no, I saw actually all of the I didn't have it in here. My glass cleaner, the spray away, glass cleaner, whatever that is, they're all stored upside down for me. That way, when I pick it up, all of the foam is at the bottom. So when you pick it up, it goes to the top.
Cool.
What else you got for shop hacks, man?
I'm trying to think of what's like within arm's reach.
What about Kaizen foam?
I don't have anything near me, but if you're looking for a cool way to organize, Kaizen certainly it's a little on the expensive side, but it displays and organizes things very well. And if something's not in its place, it's very evident that something's missing. I did this little drawer here, and that I have my bits in. We showed it a couple weeks ago when we were talking about organization, but I also did it in my CNC cabinet where I have all my bits and some of the things in there, and I really love that. That worked out really well there. Something's missing. I know it, and I go hunting for it before I leave.
Oh, wait, I think it's this one right here.
And I've seen some people like Izzy Swan. He's got entire tool walls out of that.
Yep, and it's not sponsored. Just something that we were playing with one evening and just kind of said, hey, this has a lot of uses other than what other people have shown. So in this in particular, it's easy to write on. It's 1/8-inch layers, and they can come different colors. So therefore, like with Izzy's, he's got, I think it's blue and black. So he cuts out to a certain depth where it's blue. It shows you the shape of that particular tool. And then so when you slide it back in, everything looks nice and uniform and black. So like your depth stop collars here, you have them almost flush with the top of it.
Yeah, they're sticking up about 1/8, and I did this after the fact. But if you look, the word countersink, and then that little piece of paper or cardboard that's underneath the pencil, those are actually recessed in. So those are essentially cardboard, the cardboard that comes with the product. Now I've got it in front of the bit, so I know exactly what bit it is, what pilot, what counterbore. So
keep the packaging with the product. Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Plus, you also have an item number there, so if you need a replacement drill bit for that particular one, then you know where to get it.
Well, and it also, especially with, I wish the pencil wasn't in the way, because it actually shows what number the pilot is, and then the counterbore it corresponds to that. So not only does it tell me what was in the package, but now it also gives me a reference so that I know where it is in line with the other ones.
Cool.
So it's sort of simple and redneckish, but it works,
But it works. And so that's a difficult thing too, because as a shop hack, when you're trying to organize, if you buy something one time, not sure how it's going to work out, turns out you really like it, then you may want to know what it is to buy more of. Because sometimes I know, well, they've gotten better now, but like Fish back in the day did not have their logos or anything on their drill bits. They were just these nice, clean drill bits. And then if you liked it, good luck trying to figure out who made it. Especially the high-speed steel ones, they forgot all about that. So I think they got into lasering, and that changed a lot because then you knew what the company was.
Yeah,
So safety
companies have gotten
first, which is
smarter.
good.
It's all about branding, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's not just, I mean, it's not, just because it's red or because it's yellow. It's also because if they make it a good product, it's all about that branding right there, buddy. If they made a good product, you want to buy another one or something like it down the road. It's good to remember what it was.
Yeah. And this isn't really I guess it is a hack. It's not a jig. We talked a few weeks ago about saving scrap and reusing scrap, and I don't know if anybody saw the post where I knocked out a paper towel holder over the weekend for my wife who needed something for a little cookout we were having, and the little round cutouts from all the speaker parts that I cut, that was the perfect diameter, or it may not have been perfect, but it worked, so that's what I used.
It was
And then
good.
I had a scrap piece of dowel that I literally whacked off, so it's you know something that was up on the scrap shelf and a dowel that was over in the scrap dowel bin, all worked out pretty good. And I only had to cut, I don't know, I think 2 inches off the dowel. And now that I cut it, I wish I would have left it so it'd give me something to grab it by. But hey, that's where we are.
And if you're playing redneck bingo, whack it off is also a term for cutting to length.
Chop it,
Chop
cut
it.
it.
Mash the button. Let's do it. Just doing some organization here while I'm waiting.
Oh.
Yeah, hey, I'm here for you. I just the notch. Sorry, I'm just looking at this and it's so simply smart. Does that make sense? Like I would have never even thought of that.
And I can't believe it. I would say it's like my number 2 or 3 video on my channel is a video called Stud Straddling Shelves. Don't judge me by my video name. But I did that. I had already used this once, so I had the jig. So when I made shelves for my shed, I said, well, I'm going to make a video about it and talk about the jig that I used, because most people, that's the biggest question I got from posts that I had made about using those brackets is, how in the world did you make those? Now that doesn't work if you don't have open studs,
Yeah.
but you can always make a different jig to do that. So, but yeah, that video, I get comments probably 8 or 9 a week just from that video. It makes no sense to me, but it is what it is.
I think that's the whole point behind YouTube sometimes. And some of the videos that we do is that the ones where we thought it was pretty self-explanatory, a lot of people have questions open up doors and see it a different way than what we even thought of. So it makes it really engaging that way. I don't know. It's so simple, but it would work for an open stud situation. And they do hold up, by the way. I've been in the shop and, while he's not looking, I go to sit on it, put some weight on it. Yeah, they're not moving. The walls.
Well, in one of my videos, I'm hanging from it, and I'm not a lightweight. So, matter of fact, last week I got probably one of my funniest messages. A lady messaged me, and she said, "I've been trying to get my husband to build me shelves for my she shed for 6 months. Now I'm just going to build them myself." I'm like, "Hey, that's the ultimate compliment." But at the same time, you're like, I don't need him to do that. I'll go do it myself. So
there you go. Empowering everyone to be able to do woodworking. That's the key. No, they're great because, well, all right. So in my situation here with the shop, I don't think I took a picture of it, is that it's two sides of masonry, of center block. One end of it's got the chimney, but the main structure of the basement is these two center block walls. And so the people before me, they've run like 1x2s down, and then they've attached, pegboard and stuff like that to it. So I almost wonder if there's something I can do with those, with what you have there.
you could do something similar. Matter of fact, I helped a guy one time, and he essentially took a 2x4 and he cut it away, and then he put a slight bevel, almost like a dovetail, and then he made a bracket that sandwiched that double dovetailed piece that got screwed to the wall, and he made the piece that actually with the opposing angle, and it actually slid up and down that angle, and he drilled like 1-inch holes periodically up the 2x4, and he wedged a dowel in there, and that's what he kept his part. And whenever you put weight on it, it kept it in place.
Oh, that
Kind of a
makes
neat idea, and you
yeah.
had both the dovetail preventing it from coming out, but you also had the dowel. Now he wasn't making shells; he was using it for something else, but his application worked, and I could see where that would easily be done
Yeah.
with that.
Because I mean, I was going to do the French cleat thing, but then you're kind of limited to where you can put it because you have to make a longer run side to side. So it's really nice because, obviously the 1x2s are not done on 16 on center because the trusses in the floor, not trusses, the joists in the floor are done per wall. So you got doubles on some, and so they were just attached to that. So it really looks kind of funky all the way across the wall. So I'm just trying to find ways to do something where I can make it a little bit better than just pegboard. That was the only thing left was pegboard, because I think the gap's about an inch if I put pegboard on. So no, I got inspired. And I've stared at him a couple of times, but just looking at him tonight, I'm like, I can make that work. And I'm sure I've got enough what do you call it, scrap laying around here to make that work. So we're good.
Mhm. Well, what's funny is when I was done with that our first project, I threw it in the burn barrel, and I went, you know what? I may have to make that again. So I went and dug it out of the burn barrel and marked on it what it was. And then after I made my video, I went back and in Sharpie, I put stud straddler jig. And so that's my name for that one, stud straddler jig. Cause
Don't judge the name of the video.
yeah, I
I'm
got
gonna
to
go
keep
back
it
and watch it.
simple.
Yeah. Simple enough to where anyone can pick it up and do it themselves. That's the key.
Name of the game.
Name of the game. Well, let's see. If you have your shop hacks you would like to share with us, please throw them down in the comments below. We're both on YouTube and Facebook.
Nope.
Chris is at Crisscross Crafts. I am at Dovestyle1. And the Whatnot Podcast, which you are watching now, is at Facebook.com and YouTube.
Yeah, go. I know you can't do it on YouTube, but go over to the Facebook and drop that in there. Or if you're on Instagram, go drop it on there and just hashtag shop hack or something, or hashtag whatnot podcast and whatever. Anyway, at least there you can put pictures and we can see it in action. So
Hashtag Stud Straddler.
no, do not hashtag that. Matter of fact, in the video, I don't think I hashtagged that either. No,
You were
no,
like,
no,
no.
no.
That gets you a whole different audience.
Not interested in that audience.
And we're looking for shelves. It sounds like they were looking for something else. Cutting boards to length. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. But yeah, we'd love to see what your some examples of your shop hacks and some of the jigs you've used. It's always cool to see that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you just like to organize all of your finishes with a single can depth shelf, I'd like to see this, Kyle. I really would. Is there two side by side? Chris has brought up some interesting points. Now I've got questions. Because in a way, Kyle's organization would work for my wall because my wall can't hold a lot of weight. So one can depth might actually work out pretty good.
And what's the can height? Do you have a shelf above it? Because if you do, not all cans are created equal.
Look at this guy.
This is a little bit taller. So tell me, Kyle, is yours just an open shelf design where you have nothing above it? Or are you limited by the height of your shelf?
Do me a favor. I'll give you a shop hack. Because this is one that you know, but maybe people don't. Grab that Mohawk can. If you don't mind, for me, sir.
You mean to show people how to open the cap?
Okay, so yeah, but that's one of the things I was going to do. So a while back, Chris and I had a competition on Instagram that was just literally we shook them, we opened them, we did all kinds of stuff, just having fun with rattle cans, because whatever projects we were doing, you were doing a lot of painting with them. And I was doing a lot of hardware that day. So we were just kind of messing around. But show me how you open it. And then I want you to, if you could, just take the top and then turn it towards us so we can see it.
Don't judge me. Trying to find it there.
Do you see the black dot?
Yeah, it's right where all the spray's at because I
Perfect.
had the black dot in the front. I'm not a
So what you want
weatherman.
to do is you want to have there should be a black dot on the ring of the can top. Cool. Thank you, Kyle. You just sent a picture. What that is going to tell you is where the bottom of the straw is facing. So therefore, if you get a can for the first time and you start spraying with it and it works great, and then all of a sudden starts sputtering a lot, 9 times out of 10, it's where the straw location is. So if you turn the spray part towards that dot, then you'll get every bit of the finish in that can. There's your shop hack.
And if you turn the can more vertical, you seem to get a little better results with it too.
Let's see here.
Horizontal. Yeah, that's the word.
If I could do that.
I've lost my lid forever. I saw it go flying across the shop. I'll never find it now.
So, Kyle, did you make this on the CNC? I'll show you in just a second. What I'm talking about. This is nice. Pardon that noise. All right.
I like this interactive.
Interactive live on patrol right now. We're doing it. Here we go. Look at that.
That makes a lot more sense than kind of what I envisioned when you said that.
Yes, but look at the sides. It's tapered. It's rounded. It's just nice. This is so the reason I asked if you did this on CNC or not was because, do you want to make me one? The sides you did on the CNC, yeah, that's awesome. It really is. It's very clean. Why is it that no one finishes the finishing rack? I've
Because you
always
don't
had
know what color to put it on. See, the problem I would have is the label on these Mohawk cans. I need to see at least
yes,
to there.
yes.
And so the shelf would have to be down to there, and there's not a lot of meat there. So I've been fighting the same problem there, Kyle. So I'm seeing what you did there, and I'm taking note.
Yeah. And I know for a fact that some of those cans are very. Oops, hold on a second. The ones right there where he's got the Rust-Oleum ones, the fourth shelf down. I use a lot of those, and I know those are an awkward shape, but I like how they're all. You can see the colors, which is great, except for the clears. How do you know what sheen it is? He's got to
You
have
know
an
what?
organization.
You know what? I see something written on the edge of those shells. It looks like he may have some kind of label or something, and I've got Velcro. I'm going to make a Velcro labeling system. So the paints will be easy. Yeah, I'm not going to steal your design, but I'm going to take some thoughts from it.
I'd be glad just to receive your design if you want to send it in the mail. But I will say we got to have a talk about Minwax, Kyle. Yeah, we just got to have a talk about that.
Well, at least he's got that good shellac and kills over there. Those are two good options.
He's going to need it for
what's
all
up
that.
in those bottles up in the top right? It's like they're stocked up on suntan lotion or something.
No, it's the Howard's Butcher Block wax
conditioner. Oh, is that what that
stuff.
is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that'd be that. And why does he have xylene? What are you doing? Refilling Sharpies? Why do you have xylene? He's got comments going. I'm not paying attention. I apologize. I was going to paint it white, but I got too excited and put everything on it. That's usually why it never gets finished. I know exactly. Yeah. I completely agree. I just always wonder why no one ever finishes the finishing holder shelf thing. And there's no labels on it. He was thinking about making those for sale. You should make them for sale. That's one thing I have noticed, that if you're trying to find, especially with CNC stuff, if you're trying to find like a market that you can just kind of either plans or make the parts, like in this case here, this would be a flat pack, and then the person would get it and then they would be able to put it all together. So you ship it in a much smaller box. These are great things to make for people. The drill stands where you slide the drill in, stuff like that, where people who maybe they just want to do a weekend project, they just want to throw something together. These are great for that.
This is subtle, Kyle, but I really like that flared bottom shelf.
Telling you,
You
that
could
makes
almost
it.
miss it if you're not looking for it in that picture, but that's such a subtle design feature, but it's spot on.
Well, look at the very top how he rounds it back and just very clean.
Hmm. Well, this is Kyle. I would expect nothing but utmost professionalism from him. So,
Oh, he's on the wrong podcast then. Jeez.
yeah, I know you want to trade me out for him. I don't blame you.
Oh, no, no, no. He'll come on. You guys take over. There you go. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. My shop hacks are all about speakers. Oh, he's actually
Now,
coming. Oh,
you got a lot more finishing hacks you didn't talk about
I probably do. And I just don't
because
think
you were thinking jigs, but you got some really good hacks that I've seen on your posts, your IG posts and stuff. So,
all right, I'll just try to remember them and we'll just do a finishing hack one a night. So tonight's was the aerosol can. Yeah, the black dot. Worth every penny.
yeah, gold nuggets where we can drop them.
That's right. You can drop those at our Patreon account for Whatnot Podcast. All right, well, we're coming up to the top of the hour here.
For all you children at home, don't try that head cap unlocking trick at home. It's not
And
advisable.
also, if you're going to try to do the flipping the water bottle where you land the aerosol can, we got really good at doing that for sure. Trying to put the can back on the cap that way does not work very well. You break a lot of tips. Because I was going to bring it back last weekend or the weekend before that, and that's what I was doing. Is I was doing the bottle flip, trying to land it right on the cap, and then I realized this is absolutely impossible. We're also talking like I'll have to show you the cans. Actually, I think in that picture you can't see them, but there's about 4 or 5 cans that are missing the tops on them because they all broke and shattered and went somewhere else. Yep, you're welcome. So thank you for joining us on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. This is the Whatnot Podcast. I'm MikeZ.
I'm Chris, and next week I'm going to hopefully be clearer and a better image. Well, let's leave it at that.
I sent you the CNC cut pictures. There you go. Can't wait to check this out. Thank you, Kyle. You're such a good guy.
Yeah, and then he's going to say, hey, Chris, Kyle sent me these pictures. You want to cut this out for me?
I'll just be like, hey, do you think you have any scrap that you can make that work? Well, because you're going to need one for the aerosol can. So how can do we make labels? Do we laser burn it? How do we make, because I mean, what happens if you change your finish? What happens if it's no longer available? Ooh.
That's why I'm making my labels Velcro. Can peel them off, change the label, put another one on, got the Velcro.
Okay, so here's my idea. We'll need to know what angle that is. It looks like 45. What happens if we tilted it a little taller and then we notched it out like dental molding? So that
what would happen is if you put a rare earth magnet behind it in the face of the shelf behind it. So when you slid it in, that rare earth magnet would hold it in place. I don't know. Just thinking out loud.
See, now, well, no, that's a good idea because I like my magnets. I'll do that one.
See, thanks, Kyle. You've inspired us.
Absolutely. Next week.
Why didn't we start with this? We should have led with Kyle. That's what we should have just done. Kyle, what do you got? And then we'll just talk about Kyle's stuff for the rest of the hour. You know,
we'll just talk about the subtle angle at the very bottom shelf. I'm sorry that makes it because it doesn't look funny. Like the gallons look like they fit with the quarts. Anyways, all right. Enough about Kyle. Great stuff, Kyle. Thank you for sharing. Everybody have yourself a great night. We'll see you next week, 9 p.m. Facebook and YouTube. Whatnot Podcast. Clear Chris.